Hello, this is a quick training, well hopefully quick, on how to collect 20 facts or trivia or plot lines and 20 expressions for our categories. And these are all about, the categories will go on Halloween costume pages, but this isn't about costumes, this is about the actual category. Like 1920s, we want to have some trivia. Each fact must be a standalone sentence. And I'll talk about that in a moment. In the spreadsheet at the moment, we're starting at CG9, and that could change. But it's near the section parent keywords. So I'm going to start and do a sample with 1920s, and we're going to get 20 facts, and we'll put those down starting at line 50. All the facts start at line 50. And then we'll get 20 expressions, and the expressions will go up here. Now, before, let me show you what it looks like. Some of the sentences, if I go across, I've already done a couple. This was under the category Gothic. If I go up, it was Gothic. Now, you know, Gothic what? Well, I decided to put it under the category of Gothic, of Goth history. So this is something that would be relevant to put on a page about Gothic costumes. If we go over further, here we've got pirates. Now this should be up at starting at line 50. And what you'll notice about this is every single line is a standalone sentence in itself and could go on a web page alone. It's very important. So what you want to watch out for are words like also and another and for example. Anything like that is not going to work as a standalone sentence. So once we get the 20 facts, we've got to do some tweaking to get it together. Alrighty. So let's do, as an example, flappers. And I'm going to show you some really cool little functions here that I've put in to make this easier for you. And I'll go through them now and then we'll use them later. If you have a sentence that's like my cat, and then you've got my dog, and then you've got, well, let's say you've got that. Oops. Let's say, we've got a sentence, my fish. Actually, we'll do it, my cat, and then my dog, and then my fish. Because you could have a lot of sentences all in one. To split those sentences onto different lines, just select the cell and click pass. And that's now broken it into my cat, my dog, my fish. Now, once you've done that, you might have sentences on different lines and you want to add them together. So I'll make a copy of this. And if you want to add them together, say you want to add my fish to my dog, you just click on my fish and you click add above. And it's added my fish to my dog. And then you could click my dog, my fish, and you could add it to the above as well. Or if you want to add 2 lines to the above, click the bottom one and click add above 2. And if you've got more lines than 2, then click add above X. And it will ask you how many lines you want to copy. So this will be useful. Alright. Now, the parent keyword is 1920s, and I put flapper just so that you can also get information on flappers too if you want it or need it. That's useful too. So starting with 1920s, it's really easy to find information. I just put in 1920s facts into Google, and here we've got fun facts, 1920s fads, American cultural history, particularly fun facts. It'd be nice. Don't use Wikipedia. That's the only thing. You can use anything but Wikipedia for the 20 facts or trivia or whatever. I also put in 1920s history, and that's given me a whole bunch of pages that I brought up. I like the fun facts, so I'd start with that and just see if it's something you can copy and paste. This is too short. We want some good text. And make sure that the level of language is not too high, like it's not like out of an academic text. So there's so much fads and fashion. I like that a lot. This looks great. So I would take all of this, for example. Historic event. Look at this. This is so great. All of this stuff. We just don't want them too short, so I don't know about that one. But down to here, we could copy and paste. So right now I'm just showing you the different pages that you could find and how easy it is. 1920s fads facts. Now, you could take this, but you're going to have a little trouble because when you copy it, you're going to get Mr. Gray and Alan and Sky and Anon and Kay, and that's going to be hard to take out. So I don't like that. I'm going to close that page. The Roaring Twenties, a snapshot. This to discover, view the rapid information. I'm not really seeing any information. Latest posts. 1920. Oh, this is all 1920s. So you can pick one of these. Since this is for a Halloween costume site, I would maybe open flappers and fashion. Hairstyles could be interesting too to someone wanting to put on a Halloween costume. So this is great. Prohibition would be really interesting. So I close that. Here we go. You can copy this section. Boom. All of this stuff will work. Women's fashions, 1920s. There's just so much stuff. Hairstyling. Prohibition. So that was really easy. And here's history. If you wanted to get some history facts. The only rule, and I may say this again in the video because I'm kind of cutting and pasting in this video, the only rule is that whatever title you choose that we're going to insert into here, once we were done, whatever title, your fact must make sense with this title in front of it. So if you pick Roaring Twenties for the title, then you can go and collect anything you want as long as it makes sense in front of Roaring Twenties. So you could pick hairstyle advice, and that would make sense in front of Roaring Twenties. So I'm going to close these pages now and go and pick another bunch of pages. But I wanted to tell you how to quickly and easily, by putting in facts or history after whatever the category is, you can find stuff really fast. Okay, this. Bang. So we got this. I'm going to take this. So I'm going to copy this. Take it here to line 50. Now, I prefer to double click and copy and put it all into one cell and hit enter. Then go back up and click pass. There we go. It's now put everything on one line. Now, because there's a space in this column so it doesn't overflow and just look bad in all the other columns, you're going to want to widen this column so that you can really look at what's in here. And then you can put it back once you're done. Alright. So let's go through and we'll check if any of this needs editing. Or actually, we'll do that once we're done. So this was nice. We got some stuff. You know what? I'm just going to jump straight here to, now that we know Roaring Twenties is a good term, Roaring Twenties history. Bang. And the history channel might be a really good idea. You can try that too. History.com. Bang. There we go. I'm going to take this to, and I'm going to double click. You can try it without double clicking, but I'm just not sure my passing will work as well. Put it in here, and then I go up here and we've got, this is basically all the sentences in one cell. I click pass, and it's done its best to put every sentence on a new line. So we're getting there. Roaring Twenties history. Oh wow. Wow, wow, wow. So take your pick here, what you think would be most interesting. So now here's another tip that you need to know. You can decide what the title of each one will be, and we're going to put that title in the front of every fact at some point. So for example, maybe I can show you here. I'm going to show you how to put the title in the front of every sentence. So that's important to know. You don't have to so once you decide the title, Roaring Twenties, like that, no colon, nothing else, you can bold it, and that can go in line 49. Once you've decided that, then everything you get has got to be able to fit, got to be able to work with Roaring Twenties in front of it. So this is working really well. I'm going to take this about prohibition, double click, put in, hit enter, go back up, and I pass that as well. Now we've got some good stuff, but since we're on the page and we've got some stuff, I'm going to get this stuff about the new woman. Double click, paste, and then pass. And pass doesn't do a perfect job, but it helps us a lot. Alright, I think that's plenty to start with. So now let's just check that everything here will work as a standalone sentence with Roaring Twenties in front of it. If this was the only sentence on the entire page, the term for the 1920s when the and I'll increase the size of this so you can see this better. Yes, this is fine. This was the first time in which ordinary people, this will be fine once we put Roaring Twenties in front of it. So just assume that that'll be there. This is your context helper. So you don't have to put the Roaring Twenties every single time. Millions of people put their savings into stocks. Fine, I'm going to let that go. No, I'm not. It's so small. Let's click on Add to Above. So we've now got 2 sentences up here, and that's fine. This is kind of like, consider these bullet points. One of the high flyers was radio. Now this doesn't really make sense to me, but if it says Roaring Twenties, one of the high flyers was radio, going from this doesn't actually make sense because it relies on the previous sentence. Stock market and whatever. So this one, I would say delete it, or you can edit it so that it makes sense. Or you could even add it to the top. But I think I would just edit this and say, put that to a lowercase and say, there were many boomers during this period. Okay, so now it makes sense. It was a period of licentiousness. Now that's too short, so let's add this bit. Young women called flappers. We just add to above. There we go. This was a time when automobiles became common. This period was known as the Jazz Age. These are all interesting trivia. Just a standalone. Paints a vivid picture of the Roaring Twenties. I don't like it because it's too short, so I'm going to delete it. The Roaring Twenties came to an abrupt crash. Yes, the age of dramatic and social. This is incredible. Really good stuff. These are too short, so again, I'm just going to add this to the above. You get 2 sentences there for the price of 1. The nations, yes. People from coast to coast. Let's take out this quotation mark and look for another one. Make sure there's not. Oh, here we go. Because there's always 2, right? Here's the other one. It's in the top. It's in the top one. Unfamiliar consumer society. I might be able to fix that problem where there's a full stop and then a I'll just take this out. So that works. That's the other thing. Each of these, you've got to make sure that it's a complete sentence, because the parser doesn't always work. The nation, people from coast to coast use the same slang. Many Americans were uncomfortable. This is so good. You want exactly stuff like this. However, will not work. And I'm going to, I'll see if I can get the program to take that out. For a small handful of people, but if you see something like that, just take out for however and put in a capital F. Now this doesn't really say anything. It says they were roaring indeed. What does that mean? That's useless. So we add to above the next one, and it kind of looks like, I don't know, just a bit more information. The 18th Amendment, this is cool. From then on is not going to work. So we'll just take out from then on and use a capital I. It was illegal to sell, bang, that's fine. This drove the liquor trade. You know what the easiest thing to do? Add to above. And therefore we got it was illegal, this drove the liquor trade. That makes sense. It's a whole bullet. Capone reportedly had 1,000 gunmen. Well, that's really cool. It's standalone if you take out the bracket. This one, again, we take out the bracket. So you see what I'm talking about? This will get us 20 facts. For instance, doesn't work, and I'm just lazy, so instead of editing it, I add it to above, and it fits really well. Drinking, we got another quotation problem, so take out the quote. Whoops. And here there'll be another quote. Whoops, where is it? Drinking, double clicking is often the easiest way to do it. There, Kaiser Brew. And we don't need that quote. The most famous symbol, in reality, most young women did none of these things. That won't work. So you could add it to above, or if you don't want to do that, I'm gonna take it from even. Even, but you can't have those because we don't know who those are. That refers to the previous sentence. Even women gain unprecedented freedoms, and then they is going to be added to above. The increased availability of birth control made it possible for women. So I guess you've always got to check the subject of the sentence exists. So it's not referring to the previous sentence. I'll make it take and out. New machines and technologies eliminated some of the drudgery of household work. Oh, this is the end. This is confusing. This is why we need a space here. So we'll get 20. I haven't counted, but you make sure that you have 20, and then here's what you do. These are all looking really nice. I suggest you sort them. Do not expand the selection. You just want to sort this area, and I sort by Z to A, and all that does is just takes out the empty lines. We got 50 to 71. We've definitely got 20. We got like 21, 22. So these are really cool facts. Now what you want to do is put roaring 20s in the front of every single one, and I've made it easy for you. Here's how you do it. You select the range, the entire range that you want to add the title to, and you click, you save your work. You have to save over and over and over again, because once you click one of these buttons, you can't undo. You're going to get very frustrated if there's a mistake. So save your work before anything like trying this, attempting this at home. You're going to click add context, and it says enter the row your title is on. Now the title has to be in the same column, and the row is number 49. 49, hit enter, and I must say I've impressed myself, Roaring Twenties with italics is now added in front of everyone. So you're almost done with Roaring Twenties, or let's say you're halfway. Now what you want to do is go up here. This was just for you. We don't need this. Go up here and you add 20 expressions. And the expressions are things that would fit in the sentence, are you ready to ... And they will be, so they'll all start with a verb, and they're things that you would do in the 1920s. And I'll slip these into sentences myself. So, are you ready to start your career as a flapper? Now, do not put any question marks. This is very important, because I might use 2 or 3 of these in one sentence. So, are you ready to start your career as a flapper? You could buy a girl a drink. This is the kind of thing from the 20s. Bootleg some gin. Get a drink at a speakeasy. So you kind of need to know the 20s. I don't really know the 20s. This is where this can... This is something you could get from... let's see. I'm going to go for the Roaring Twenties movie. Remember we found that before? I think it was at Info Please. So, Roaring Twenties. This is movies are a great place if you get the plot lines. Dictionary, arts and entertainment. Top 10 film movie awards. Well, this is pretty useless. The Roaring Twenties plot. This I don't mind if you get from Wikipedia, if you get expressions. So we're looking for things that someone would do in the Roaring Twenties, and you might come up with a better way to find this. Meet in a foxhole. Oh, fight prohibition. There's one. Fight prohibition. Bootlegging business. Start your own bootlegging business. It's good. Undiscovered star that Eddie takes under his wing. Runs into hell in a boat raid. She's also into bootlegging. Oh, the Great Depression was around that time. Are you ready to thrive during the Great Depression? That's something you could do. So again, we need a verb and something you would do. And this is going to populate my website with related expressions when I talk about 20s costumes. So I'm gonna stop it there because I think you get the idea. And again, 20 expressions here, and we've got the Roaring Twenties as this. So the job will be the final job. Oh, last thing we've got to do here is fix the column width. Ooh. So I'm going to click on this, control click or right click, and column width, I don't know what it should be. I'll try 3 centimeters. Yeah, that's fine. Good. So then you do the 1950s. and you could search for 1950s, you could search for 50s. You know, you could get a little creative if you're having trouble with that, and you could search for happy days. Well, you can't search for happy days because one of the main things you've got to decide is what will the context be of everything. And if the context is the 50s, then everything you write has to work with that in front of it. So happy days is going to get you in trouble because it won't always talk about happy days. So find stuff about the 1950s, and you might go 1950s history. Addams Family, that should be pretty easy. You can find the Addams Family movie, and you could get facts about the movie. Now, if you're going to do plot lines, because it might give you plot lines, like in the movie, blah, 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 I just prefer you don't do that. I prefer you don't do that. And I also prefer in general that you don't get your expressions from down here with the facts that you got, because the idea is to get different words. You can, actually that's a good idea, you can look at this and get ideas, but don't use the same words. So prohibition, buy your very first car. There you go. It says automobiles became common. You're ready to buy your very first car. Are you ready to dance it up during the jazz age? So this is really good. Many boomers ready to survive a stock market crash. Was Rockefeller during there? So you're looking for classic things that someone would recognize, because what I'm going to say is, if you dress up in a if you dress up in a flapper's costume, you better be ready to start your career as a flapper, buy a girl a drink, and get a drink at a speakeasy. Or you may wake up the next morning finding that you, and I'll convert these into past tense. Alrighty, I think that's enough on how to do this, and you know how to use these tools up above. And you might notice that I've already started with a lot of these, so it might take you less time than you thought. I just went through and started. That's a fun thing that you can do, actually. You could go through, once you get the full job, don't do it for the test. For the test case, just do 3 columns. But for the full job, you can go through and just, off the top of your head, you know, at a cop, think of cliches. What do you do as a cop? Are you ready to make your very first bust? You ready to put the villain in handcuffs? You know, like that. Now, cowboys, rustle some cattle, lasso, I don't know, lasso something. Anyway, you got the idea. Devil, are you ready to buy someone's soul? There you go. Disco. Disco, are you ready to dance like John Travolta? Dora the Explorer, I got no idea, I'd have to look that up. Circus, ready to twist, tie yourself in knots? This one's easy, whoops. Tie yourself in knots. Fly with the greatest of ease, referring to the song Those Magnificent Men on Their Flying Trapeze. Put your head in a lion's mouth. So these are fun. You can go on and just do those off the top of your head, kind of free association. And this concludes the training. Save your work regularly, and I recommend you keep saving new versions of the program so that if you ever totally destroy a version, you can go back to the latest one.